All right, 2 Samuel 17, let's call this one You Know, and subtitle it Absalom's Fall, because even though he is not going to go to war until the next chapter, it's going to seem as though his fall is going to start here when he has a choice between two counselors, the aforementioned Ahithophel and Hushai, David's close friend. And so in this chapter, Ahithophel, as we didn't mention in the previous chapter, counseling Absalom to basically solidify his power by sleeping with his dad's concubines in public, fulfilling the prophecy that God made about David committing a sexual sin in private that was going to be repaid publicly by one of his neighbors. And he didn't know his neighbor was actually going to be his son. And it's going to be at the counsel of Ahithophel that Absalom does this. And so having successfully counseled Absalom to consolidate his influence by doing that, he's going to take his chances and give him more advice. This is the kind of shift in power that can be accomplished by killing one man. So let me go get David and bring the rest of Israel back to you, as he's going to say, as a bride is presented to her husband. And initially, that's going to sound great. But he's going to say, well, we got this Hushai guy here, and he's real close to my dad. Let's hear what he has to say. And so he's going to call Hushai in, understanding that Hushai is still loyal to David. Hushai is going to know his audience, and he is going to seem to speak to Absalom's ego. Understanding that even when people value truth, it's probably important to understand their highest priorities. And it does not seem that truth is Absalom's highest priority. Why? Because he's basically spent 4 years lying to take control of Israel from his father. And so Hushai, a wise man, is going to speak to the ego of a man who doesn't seem to have truth as his highest priority. And first of all, we're not going to be able to talk about all of the details of what Hushai says because it's pretty savvy. But the first thing he's going to seem to do is talk to the young man's inexperience, understanding that Absalom is a man who's used to sending his servants to do this and this and that. He's the son of a man who grew up doing it himself, the worst jobs, in fact. And as we've mentioned, when Jesse was told that there is a king in his household, they didn't even call in the young shepherd boy, David. Absalom is a different child, though. He has servants, and he is typically delegating instead of doing things himself. And so when Hushai advises him, he gives him a mix of truths about his father. He is a mighty man in battle, but he is going to mix in some untruths. Therefore, you know that your father is going to do X, Y, and Z, and that's where he goes too far. And Absalom, quite possibly not having the humility to acknowledge, no, I don't necessarily know that, doesn't go forward to ask, okay, well, why do I or why should I know that? He simply takes the half-truth and accepts it as fact. Even more, Hushai is going to say, instead of a small force, you need to take out your entire army. And so it would appeal to a man who likes his likes and likes to be liked to show everyone how much he's liked, making the unwise choice of bringing out his entire army and exposing them to danger, a la Pharaoh losing his entire army in the Red Sea. And finally, Hushai seems to appeal to this young man's callousness, meaning the more we think of our own selves, the less we will tend to think of others and the less we will tend to care about their suffering. And so even though Ahithophel has offered a plan that simply kills one man, Hushai is going to say, you need to go out and smash everybody loyal to your dad. And any town that protects him, you need to smash. And so he gets him gassed up on Hulk smash, having Absalom forget that he's not the Hulk. He's just real popular. And so Hushai is going to not only convince him to take his whole army out, but to personally expose himself to danger. And we are going to see how that, instead of allowing Absalom to smash, is going to lead him into getting smashed in the next chapter. But before that, we are going to see more loyalties exposed for David for the good, because as he is chased across the Jordan River, Hushai is not going to be satisfied to defeat the counsel of Ahithophel. He's going to say, run anyway, David. Don't rest even though you're tired. Cross the Jordan River. And as David crosses the Jordan River, he is going to find more people who are willing to stand by him in his time of need, even though the nation has turned against him, reminding us once again of why it's important to maintain a healthy relationship with God, because even as he disciplines him, he is using his difficult times to expose even more friends that David didn't know he had. Likewise for you, my prayer for you is my prayer for me, that we maintain a healthy enough relationship with God that even as we recover from our mistakes, he will be happy to provide for us as he helps us find our way back to peace and stability.